What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. And we are finally around to talking about one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm very excited to be able to talk about this movie with two of my fellow movie fans. The first of which being my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Well, this is good timing because I'm in the mood to burn shit down. So you need to stop trying to corrupt me like this, Frank, because we're gonna start some shit here. No, I haven't seen this movie in a long time, so it's kind of cool to go back and see it. I guess I'll save what I was about to do. I'm looking at. Well, I've got my best gamer look going on right now. Do I look like a gaming streamer, YouTuber, whatever right now? But there's a video game series I'm surprised. I think I've seen it come up a few times, but I haven't, surprisingly. I guess it's post-apocalyptic, so in a way it is kind of relevant, but surprised I never got into it. But you know what? Stick around to the end of the show. I might actually tell you what it is. So there we go. I just saved our stream.
And the shape below Star State, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
You know, I was thinking about how am I going to review this without getting just all Alex Jonesy InfoWars and getting Frank kicked off of YouTube. So I'm choosing to not specifically say certain buzzwords, but you know how things go. This should be fun. What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are doing well. So,
I know that I'm going to mention at least one that YouTube hasn't been fond of the last 2 or 3 years, but you know.
I'm sure I will too. Like I said, I want you to know I'm going to try ahead of time. I'm just going to pre-apologize, so whatever happens is covered. So it's fine. It's all good.
But in case you haven't figured it out, we are here to talk about V for Vendetta. That is the 2006 dystopian political action film directed by James McTeigue. This was actually his feature directorial debut from a screenplay by the Wachowski siblings. It is based on the 1988 and 89 DC Vertigo Comics limited series of the same title by Alan Moore, David Lloyd, and Tony Weare. The film is set in the future where a fascist totalitarian regime has subjugated the UK, and it centers on V, portrayed by Hugo Weaving, an anarchist and masked freedom fighter who attempts to ignite a revolution through elaborate terrorist acts, and on Evey Hammond, portrayed by Natalie Portman, a young woman caught up in V's mission. V for Vendetta was originally scheduled for release by Warner Brothers Pictures on November 4th of 2025, a day before what would have been the 400th Guy Fawkes night, but it was delayed, and instead it opened in the United States on March 17th, 2006, to mostly positive reviews from critics, and became a huge box office success. Alan Moore, dissatisfied with the film adaptation of his other works, including From Hell in 2001 and A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from 2003, declined to watch the film and even asked not to be credited or paid royalties. Okay, yeah. Anyway. Making $147 million against the budget. Yeah, Keycam, that is kind of a douchey thing, but whatever. Making $147 million against a budget of an estimated $53 million. The film was a financial and critical success. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds a 73% approval rating based on 258 reviews, with an average rating of 6.8 out of 10, with a consensus review that reads, quote, visually stunning, thought-provoking. V for Vendetta's political pronouncements may rile some, but its story and impressive set pieces will nevertheless entertain. Let me go to you first, Jeremy. Give me a quick paragraph on what you think of V for Vendetta.
It's scary how a movie that's a little under 20 years old is pretty on the fucking nose. The longer we're removed from this movie, it's kind of scary how much it actually still falls in line. That it's, you know, a classic cautionary tale. Just in a, I guess, kind of alternate future, I guess mostly in Britain, but you see stuff that happens in America, or as they call it, the former United States. that darn Midwestern Civil War, and here we are out starting shit. I guess we figured we won the last one. We'll do it again. Yeah. Well, that's some Ready Player One shit where there was corn syrup droughts. I'm like, damn, if there was corn syrup droughts, y'all really screwed up. Yeah, no, it kind of reminds me of They Live. Like, you know, it's still like even today, but you could even say 20 years from when that movie came out, it's just like, holy crap, you kind of look at it and you're like, yeah, I see it. And it's eerie how, you know, how close you can be to something like this actually happening, or think that, yeah, it's pretty close to, you could easily slip into that fucking rabbit hole. So it's just fun when they do movies like this because, like Frank said, it's a very thought-provoking movie, and it'll start making you kind of scratch your head a little bit, like, do you really believe everything the news tells you, or whatever the government tells the news to tell you to believe? You know what I mean?
Obey.
Yeah. So if you don't see me on Thursday's review, I end up in a bottom of a river somehow. That's you'll know why. You heard it here. It's been recorded. And you heard it here.
Yeah, Tex, how about you? Give us some of your quick thoughts on V for Vendetta.
Yeah, this is this is one I haven't watched in a while. I was glad to see when I saw this on the calendar. I was looking forward to it. This is in the line of like Soylent Green, 1984 films of that nature, where it's got a heavy-handed political messaging, but it's not preachy. Like it's done well. It's a film that no matter what side of the political regime you're on, you can kind of apply it towards that in ways, which is smart for them to doing it because it makes the lasting power there basically forever. I mean, that's what government does. It likes to oppress you. It's not here to serve you. It likes to oppress. Just wake up, people. But yeah, like I said, we're about to get all InfoWars up in this bitch. So let's party. So.
Yeah. For me, as I was watching, I mean, there was already aspects of it that I was just kind of, even 5-10 years ago, I was watching. I was like, these are eerily prophetic. It's odd how I don't know if they meant to kind of call the way things were going to go in the years after this movie came out, but it just ended up that way. It's odd. I was watching it, and more so than any other time that I've seen this movie, because I really don't think I've sat and watched this movie since probably early pandemic, right before it maybe. So to see the way that this whole thing has gone, it was very eerie. I was like, wow, we have kind of lived this, and not in every way, but in many ways over the course of the last several years. So yeah, I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it was something. But yeah, I mean, for one, it's very well done. It's, to me, one of the best things about this movie is it does portray what happens if one side of a political spectrum takes complete control, whether it be the left or the right, the Republican, Democrat, whatever you want to call it. The reality is this movie proves why you need to have multiple points of view, multiple angles to see the world, because if one overtakes the other and becomes the de facto point of view, bad things would happen. It would not be good for freedom, not be good for individuality and liberty. Like everything we hold here would be gone in the name of trying to protect it, which is ironic enough. But let's dig into it now. We'll talk about the Wachowskis as filmmakers. I mean, look, The Matrix, a bunch of other movies. This definitely has some Matrix vibes to it. There are definitely some artistic shots that they did, like especially that final scene where Creedy and V are going at it with all the cops around there. There was definitely not quite bullet time, but definitely kind of a new way of shooting. It's kind of cool.
Oh, the influence is heavily there. Yeah.
It's almost like V sounded like some agent guy we know.
Yeah, almost like it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But, I was hearing that voice.
It sounded like he used to have a red skull at one point or something. It's crazy how that happened.
But, but then he did.
But I'll go to you first, Tex. I mean, putting the Wachowskis have made a lot of movies, some great, some not so great. Where does this stand for you on the hierarchy of the Wachowski siblings and their body of work as filmmakers?
Well, when it comes to the Wachowskis, for me, I mean, the only thing I really can go to is Matrix films. I like this better than any of the, I guess technically 4, but realistically I only count 3 Matrix films. I like this better. You get some of the Matrixy vibes. It's got that futuristic vibe to it, but it feels like it's like in the 80s at times because of the oppression and everything that's going on, which is good. It's like what do they call that? Like a cyberpunk or steampunk? There's some kind of word for it now. I don't know what I'm talking about. But this film, to me, maybe my favorite thing that the Wachowskis have done. It's like I said, this isn't one I revisit a lot, but it's a powerful film. Just even it's not real long, but at times it gets dialogue heavy for big spurts. But it's one that I don't mind. And most times when a film is dialogue heavy, I get bored and my ADD kicks in and I'm playing with my phone or something. But no, for me, this may be their best work. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? I know that we've talked endlessly about how much you love The Matrix. The Wachowskis have made some pretty interesting films. Definitely, they have a unique artistic style. Where does this fit in the Wachowskis' on their hierarchy of films that they've made to you?
Like I said, I hadn't really seen this movie in a while. I mean, definitely not as many times as I've seen the Matrix films, but it's yeah, in the scope of all the things they've done, the Wachowskis, it's like I kind of forgot. Like, damn, I mean, when they hit you with some pretty deep, like dark, dystopian, thought-provoking shit, and it hits hard. It hits hard. Just like the Matrix, when you start thinking about AI and AI taking over, and it's like, well, we're inevitably going to start fighting with it, and then it's gonna, you add about 200 years of war, and it's like, well, here we are. We're plugging big telephone jacks into our fucking spinal cords and going to this weird dream world, dodging bullets and shit. And I'm like, God, this is fucking awesome. I love this. I've said many times, The Matrix was the first one. Was my favorite movie for a very, very long time. And then, Ready Player One kicked that one off the pedestal. But still in the top 5. This movie definitely, I watched it again this week, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot actually how good this movie is and how much fun it was. Again, they hit you with like, I didn't think about 1984. Yeah, it's those things where you start seeing the pieces of it, and like Tex said, it's not preachy. It's like
this could be a part 2 to 1984 or Soylent Green. I don't know if you've seen that with Charleston Heston. Like, you could make a trilogy out of those films if you wanted to. You know what I mean?
And then you find out. Then you find out apes took over and they blew it up. And like you said, it doesn't. This is the way you do it, right? Like Tex said, it's not preachy. It's not talking at you or to you, like where they're almost like doing the Agatha, like winking right at the camera every time they fucking tell you something. It's like they present it to you in a way that it's already happened, and they just talk about the things, and you piece together like, oh, this happened. Oh, this happened in America. This is, what's going on over here. Oh yeah, they did this at one point in the course of this history, and you're like, damn, like it's telling you, but it's not telling directly to your face, to where you just kind of roll your eyes like, okay, I get it. Like it's like you get the pieces of like what happened after the fact, and that's why it hits the way it does, because you just sit there and you got to take it all in, like, holy shit, man, this, because you think to yourself, damn, if we take a couple steps further the wrong direction, it's like Frank said, one side or the other puts their foot too far into that door, and it's over. So it's definitely up there. Like I'm glad I rewatched it again after probably like 10 years.
Yeah, for me, look, the Wachowskis, look, they've put out some great stuff on this, obviously. The Matrix, very good. They were the producers on that movie Ninja Assassin that came out in 2009, which I think is a wildly entertaining movie. They were just
I've never seen that.
I remember that. I was like,
it's good fun. There's a lot of blood, a lot of ninjutsu, a lot of craziness. You'll get a kick out of it if you get a chance to watch it.
It's straight gas, just hits the fucking floor and just go.
Oh yeah, there's no stopping this movie. But then they come in with stuff like, I mean, look, the Matrix franchise, not a strong last couple of movies. I mean, the Matrix in '99, great. The second Matrix movie was good. Wasn't as good as the first, but it was good. Revolution is not quite the ending we wanted. Resurrections, we don't talk about much. But then they hit us with stuff like Cloud Atlas, which a lot of people didn't really like. They hit us with stuff like Jupiter Ascending, which was kind of a mess. I think some people over the years have kind of learned to appreciate Jupiter Ascending, but me, I just didn't. I didn't like.
Is that the one with Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum?
Yes. And then Cloud Atlas was the one where it's like you follow all these people during like they each lived 4 or 5 of their lives. I don't know. It's just really convoluted to me. But the real bummer to me was Speed Racer. I really wanted that movie to be awesome because I grew up watching Speed Racer cartoons when I was a kid. And that movie could have been kind of like right in their wheelhouse, but it just wasn't good. As a click, I mean, it would have fit in with the Matrix style of filmmaking and all that, but God, it just wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
I wanted a Mach 5 as a kid, damn it. That thing was cool.
Yeah, it's a dope car. I mean,
I grew up watching that cartoon. That was so much fun.
Yeah, and it seemed like after about 2015, they just kind of like, we're going to do some like small TV stuff. They did that Sense8, which it's a TV show. I've heard it's actually pretty good. I haven't watched it. It's on Netflix. I haven't watched it. Lily Wachowski's got something going right now called Work in Progress, which I only heard of recently. It's probably more of a comedic thing than anything else. And then, of course, the video games, they've had stuff to do with all the Matrix video games and stuff like that. Comic books, they worked on the Hellraiser comic book, the Matrix comic books, some stuff for Clive Barker, things like that. But yeah, it seems like after Jupiter Ascending, they just kind of stopped. They just kind of stopped doing the movies for a while. They were also producers on Assassins. I don't know if you remember this movie, 1995, Jeremy, with Antonio Banderas and Sylvester Stallone. It's very underrated kind of action movie. It's an interesting. I think
I've seen that.
Characters for those two. It's good. I have it on DVD somewhere, I think, but it's a pretty fun movie. They were the writers on that, so I mean they put out some good stuff, but.
I think me and Frick are about to have a movie date night again.
It's a fun movie to watch. It's kind of typical action schlock, but I mean, you've got Banderas and you've got Sylvester Stallone, so that works out great.
How do you go wrong?
You have 2 great action stars, and they're making an action movie. That's how it goes. But yeah, it's look, me personally, my favorite Wachowskis product is this film. It always kind of has. I love The Matrix. The first Matrix was great. I actually like this a little bit better. I think it's a much better film. I'll give the reason why I keep them kind of close because I think The Matrix was very experimental. They took a lot of big swings, and I think one of the things that makes that movie so great is they connected on a lot of those big swings. I mean, Bullet Time was a huge gamble. You had no idea how that was really going to look.
Yeah.
Yet, every movie parodied it.
Yeah, and then you had no idea how it was going to play.
Even Charlie's Angels did it. And like it was everywhere, dude.
Shrek freaking did it. Like what? What? You know what I mean? So
yeah, you had no idea how the fans were going to react to that kind of stuff. People looked at it and been like, "This looks silly. This looks stupid. What is all this nonsense?"
No, my jaw was on the goddamn floor when he went
1990 something. You know.
I was like,
yeah, so, but it was 1990 something. It was mind blowing, and it's still, even after we watched The Matrix recently, I was still watching it, and I'm like, that visual still holds up. And they kind of do a lot. They do a lot of that again with the knives. You see the glowing the trails of the knives as he's really moving fast and killing people and all that. That's pretty cool. Not quite as cool as Bullet Time, but it was a similar effect. Yeah, this is my favorite Wachowskis movie. I'm kind of bummed that they not unlike M. Night Shyamalan that they were kind of flash the pans a little bit. Excuse me, get over a cold. But yeah, they were kind of flashing the pans. It's like they were really really hot for a while and then they just kind of fell off. And with the exception of like seeing their names attached to a couple things here and there, that promise that we kind of expected from them, that we kind of heaped on them because of how great the first Matrix was and all that, never really materialized. So I mean, I don't know. I think. Do
you think they're kind of one-trick ponies though?
But you see, no, I don't, because they've done things, different things that are good. I mean, let's see, Ninja Assassin. Like I said, Ninja Assassin is a cool movie. And that's not very Matrixy. It actually has much more of an old school kung fu movie kind of feel to it for being something way more modern. It came out in 2009. I think with Jupiter Ascending and Cloud Atlas, they tried to mix in more of the special effects and the visuals with a much deeper story, but it became kind of convoluted and just didn't work. Matrix Resurrections, the movie really shouldn't have been made. They should just end the movie, that franchise where it ended and whatever. But I mean, there was good things about it. Not a whole lot of good things. There were good things. Like Assassins is a very well written movie, I think. I mean, it wasn't a blockbuster by any means, but it's a good movie. But And like I said, I haven't watched Sense8. I've been wanting to get it. I've been wanting to try it just to see if it's any good. And that's actually just Lana Wachowski. No, both Wachowskis were involved in season 1. It was just Lana Wachowski in season 2. I'll have to give that a try at some point. But yeah, I don't think they're one-trick ponies. I just think that much like M. Night Shyamalan, it's like, you watch something like Sixth Sense, his first big movie, and then the whole plot twist. He was dead all the time. Spoiler alert. He was dead the whole time, and he was one of the dead people.
No way.
Yeah, totally.
How dare you?
But yeah, I spoil a 200-year-old movie for you guys. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it's like I think those plot twists became expected. They weren't a surprise anymore. So after that wears off, you have to rely a lot more on story. And maybe he wasn't telling stories the right way. Maybe his storytelling ability had somehow been hampered. I don't know how, if I'm explaining it the way I'm thinking it, but maybe it's the same thing with the Wachowskis. It's like, yeah, we had Keanu Reeves, perfect casting for Neo. You had Keanu Reeves. You had this crazy world of, we're all just batteries and blah, blah, blah. And then it got to the point where it's like, if you try to branch out of that and tell a different story, you keep wanting to tell stories the way you tell the Matrix, but you need to tell different stories in a different way. And maybe they just thought they were going to always rest on their laurels with the Matrix, but every movie's got to be different. I mean, look at some of the great directors. Spielberg has made every kind of movie except a superhero movie, and he's made it better than everybody else. I mean, he did West Side Story a couple of years ago after saying for decades that he would never do a musical. But at that point, he's playing with house money. He's just like, what have I not done? Oh, I haven't done a musical yet. I'm going to go ahead and make this musical. And then West Side Story comes out and it blows it away and gets nominated for a bunch of awards. So they're not Spielberg level as filmmakers where they can do different stories from different angles. And their vision seems to be it feels like sometimes it's a little one track, but I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe Sense8 is different. I haven't seen it, but like I said, the Wachowskis have great vision. And this is my favorite Wachowskis property. This V for Vendetta right here, more so than the Matrix by a little bit, but it's, I don't know what's happened to them. I don't know why they kind of fell off the map. I don't know what it was about their creativity, or maybe they just didn't want to be public anymore. I mean, they've had their personal stuff, that they got a lot of shit for, whatever. Maybe that was part of it, that they didn't want to get attention for the personal stuff. They wanted attention for the filmmaking and the storytelling, but it wasn't the kind of attention they were getting for a while. So maybe that was it. I don't know. But I don't know. The Wachowskis, I think, are very interesting filmmakers with great vision. They made a couple of banger movies, the first Matrix, this one. But they've been really hit or miss, and you got to have a lot more hits than misses if you really want to impress people, get them to continue to coming back just to see a movie that's got your name on it. But let's move on to the cast now. I mean, a big casting change at one point early in the production of this. For those of you who don't know, V was actually going to be played for several. They did several weeks of filmings with James Purefoy. I always pronounce his last name wrong. One of my favorite actors. He was in that Fox TV show with Kevin Bacon, The Following, which the first season of that show is
The Following.
Freaking phenomenal.
I love that show, dude.
The second season went straight to hell. I don't know how they managed to screw that show up the way they did, but the first season that is the best I've ever seen.
Fun fact about The Following: that was originally supposed to be a plot for Scream sequels, but it was rejected. So the guy that wrote it, I can't remember his name now. He sold that to Fox with this whole killer cult thing, because it was going to play off the whole Stu being alive. And Stu was going to be the bad guy that was from The Following, but in the Scream world. And there was copycats and followers and stuff. So if you haven't seen The Following, go check that out. It's really, really good. I like it.
Well, we may still see Stu killing people behind the ghost face mask. You never know. We'll find out about that in about a year or so.
Well, we just saw it in Five Nights at Freddy's. He's just wearing rabbit ears now. So,
True. But let's go to the cast real quick. Jeremy, what do you think of the cast of this film? I mean, again, Hugo Weaving, not originally cast to play this, but comes in and does a fantastic job. What do you think of the overall cast of the film?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got Agent Smith and Queen Amidala in this movie, so how am I going to complain? And of course, you got one of the doctors from Doctor Who plays the, definitely totally not heavy-handed Hitler guy, but whatever. I mean, I was like, damn, this could be an alternate timeline where there he is. Like, damn, the war doctor really took his name seriously.
You put that in that new Star Wars movie, that's the new order right there. That's same coloring and everything.
It's
like,
I know.
That's basically the same thing.
That's the thing is like I love that like we know what it means and we know what they're trying to say. Like with the First Order, even with the original Empire and the original trilogy of Star Wars, it's the same colorations. It's the white, the red, the blacks,
right.
and they all they're called stormtroopers even for fuck's sake. Like we know what it is. I guess
knows.
yeah, I guess the Emperor's I guess Hitler, and maybe Vader's like Himmler or something. I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into Star Wars like that. But speaking of not getting deep into Star Wars, so Natalie Portman, pretty fantastic cast. Honestly,
deep in Natalie Portman, but that's a different podcast.
Apparently, everybody did in this movie. Jesus Christ, this is a horrifying world you guys live in. It's the dialogue even in the chemistry between V and Evey, which I'm gonna trip myself up saying that a few times in a row. It's just fun. It's got a weird quirk. Like V even has this weird quirkiness where he's just straight honest with her and just brutal. She's like, "Did you kill that guy?" He's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, I killed him." Like, he's just so nonchalant about everything, and it makes me fucking laugh. I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh or not because it's kind of dark. It all works, and it's like it's not too hard to follow. Like you're following the two detectives who are like just kind of right behind every time somebody dies. It almost had these two guys, the chief inspector and then his kind of right hand dude. It almost had like what?
I was saying the guy's name is Flint, I believe it was.
Yeah. It almost even kind of had a weird I initially wanted to say like Hot Fuzz, mainly because they're British, but like if it was like darker, or even like the Boondock Saints, where it's like you're kind of hopping back and forth between, the vigilante stuff and then like the cops, and it's like it's it's all going to come to a head at some point, and it's got that cool thing at the end where the chief inspector's got Natalie Portman at gunpoint, and even like she's like, this has to happen, and even he puts his gun down, like he understands like shit, like this is like some fugitive type shit, like where he's got him on the run, and it's just like, yeah, you know what, it's got to happen, so let her go.
Yeah, who about the cast stood out the most to you, other than maybe Hugo Weaving?
Yeah, I would say Hugo Weaving, obviously. I would say either like I would say maybe John Hurt or whoever the guy was that played like the leader of those, like the guys that put the fucking bags over your head, like kind of like the nameless like the nameless guys that come into your fucking house as soon as they put a bag over your head, like, guess what, kiss your ass goodbye because you're never being found again. I'm like, that's horrifying. You just got these whole group of guys that'll just dressed in all black come into your fucking house, and you already know your life's over at that point. So that gives a horrifying level of that hierarchy of power that, again, I was talking about John Hurt being the top of this little pyramid here. Maybe the guy who was the kind of weird Piers Morgan talk show guy, whatever the fuck, the friend, Gordon, was his name Gordon? I think. Yeah. He was pretty funny, and even though I know it's like, oh, well, dude, you just definitely screwed yourself. But got the last laugh, I guess, maybe? I don't know. Funny man. That's why I thought Boondock Saints, because he's like, yeah, was it funny? Funny man? I'm like, yeah. What you gonna do? Laugh the last three to death, you funny man?
Yeah, Tex, how about you? What did you think of the cast of the movie, and who stood out the most to you?
Well, there's a lot of high points in this. Obviously, Hugo Weaving as V. I've always thought if Heath Ledger's Joker was more of an anti-hero, which he kind of was in Dark Knight, he would be V. I mean, when you really look at the actions that they both do, very similar, both going after political stuff with a corrupt system. Just one skews more toward the people with V, and Heath Ledger's Joker he just wanted to cause chaos and anarchy. Obviously,
if he
Natalie
actually did
Portman.
have a plan. If he actually
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. Which, well, let's be honest. Joker had a plan in that movie. He just, lied, whatever.
I get what he meant. If he actually had a legit
Natalie
plan for a
Portman.
year.
Natalie Portman in this film, obviously, I mean, we get to learn her background, with the revolutionary type parents, but she's very much a product of the system. She just kind of wants to get along to go along, but we get to see her development of character going throughout, and by the end of it, she's a complete different person. I mean, we get I guess you can say innocent and just kind of wants to look the other way to full on, hey, let's just do this thing. But the one for me, it's Chief Inspector Flint, or whoever his name is. I don't know what his actual name is, but if you saw Soylent Green, he basically played Charlton Heston's role from that movie. He's a detective within the system, and as the film goes, he's learning oh my God, this is not okay. And by the end of it, he's like, yeah, okay, send the train full of explosives and whatever. I really enjoyed seeing his character arc because he goes from just foot soldier of the apocalypse to not necessarily freedom fighter, but he's like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to get out of the way and let nature take its course. So yeah, Detective Flint or Chief Inspector Flint, whatever. I thought that dude was really cool.
Yeah, for me, the one that I found myself kind of oddly drawn to was the Dr. Surridge, the one who played the coroner, who actually was one of the people that was experimenting on V and all the people at that crazy hospital. Not just because she was so low. I mean, you don't really know it. If you're watching this movie for the first time, you don't realize when you first see her that she plays a much bigger part in all of this. Her part is very quick, and it's actually very deep. So it's like you first see her talking to the cop, and her facial expressions start to give her away a little bit. And then that whole scene with V in her bedroom having the conversation with her as she's almost about to die, I was just like, wow, that was some pretty good dialogue. Like I said, I always hold the diner scene in Heat between Pacino and De Niro there as like a masterclass in dialogue delivery. And I don't want to put it up there with that, but it was very important. It frames a lot of the stuff that's happening in this movie. It frames a lot of the people that were part of the bad team, but were not necessarily bad people. I mean, because look, I mean, let's face it, this is kind of like a Nazi state in that you can either go along with the powerful people or the powerful people are going to have you rubbed out. And that's, so a lot of these people didn't want to do these things necessarily, but they were just like, go along to get along. If you don't, you're going to be put in a black bag and taken off somewhere, and they're never going to see you again. So she does kind of take this opportunity, excuse me, to explain to V and thusly to us viewers kind of her thought process and the part that she played in all of it, to kind of help put the rest of it in perspective as you're sitting there listening to V later go on this conversation with the cops about everything that went on at Lark Hill and, the fact that it was all planned pandemic by these people that were trying to get power. It starts to frame everything that would come later on in the movie. So she was one of the people that I really, really liked. Also, Stephen Fry as Noah Dietrich, the talk show host guy. I don't know if you guys know who Hugh Laurie is, right? The guy that played Dr. House on House.
Yeah, House. Yeah.
Those two were actually buddies, and they had a sketch comedy show on the BBC before Hugh Laurie became a big deal here in the U.S. called A Bit of Fry and Laurie. And it's some of the funniest British comedy I've ever fucking seen. It is absolutely hilarious. And I didn't realize that until after Hugh Laurie had gotten really big on House. I kind of went back and stumbled across it. But he himself is actually a very good actor. I mean, his comedic timing is great, but he has these moments where I always say that I like it when people act with their eyes, that his facial expression changes. So it's like when Evey walks out that one morning and he's making the eggie in the basket, and she starts talking about how it's weird because that's what V did the first morning she was there and all that. He tries to make a joke, and then when the conversation starts to turn a little more serious, his facial expression changes, and that changes the mood of the entire scene when he's trying to have more serious dialogue with her. So yes, his performance was fantastic. And yes, of course, Hugo Weaving. He's Hugo Weaving. Has the guy done anything bad yet? I can't think of much of anything. Yeah, Jeremy's rolling through the memory banks, and he's like, I can't really think of anything that he's been bad at. So he might have been in some bad movies, but he hasn't been bad in them, that's for sure. But, let's go to the basic plot of the movie now. And, plot, pandemic, blah, 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 using it to take over the world.
That's crazy. That could never happen, right?
Yeah,
that's totally not a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Tex, what do you think? I mean, was it odd to you? I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, so we'll talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think of the overall?
This is the part where I get. This is the part where I get us kicked off of YouTube. Obviously the plot is something, I guess you could say, from the threats of nuclear war to, lockdown states to pandemics, to medications being pumped up by the government that heal all of this that they caused. So much of this plot is so relevant today. And it's like, was said at the beginning of this podcast. It's almost scary watching this now. Like we're just a couple years out from living through a real world version of this. And obviously we've seen political uprisings from certain groups, but I like the plot point of how it ends, of how certain groups are just more about themselves and not the collective of humanity as a whole, with the whole V giving the train to Eve or Evey or whatever. And, the plot works. It's built solid. It's got good foundation around it, but it leaves it open enough that whatever political situation you may be in, it can fit to it eerily well. And that's what I really like about this plot is the structure in which it's done. It's just so good. I mean, I could go 20 minutes about it, but I don't want to go 5 hours on this thing. So it is what it is.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? What do you think of the overall plot of the
film? Yeah, it's creepy. Like I said, it's kind of creepy that just under 20 years later. Well, also, I think wasn't this movie set in like 2020?
It was in the 2000s. Yeah.
I think it was set only a couple of years into the future from when it came out, so I don't think it was set in 2020.
Well, no, because like they talk about the girl who was in the cell next to him. She's like, "Oh yeah, like 2015, I went to I made my first movie," and I'm like, "This is." I mean, they said 400 years later. I'm like, "You're talking that it is the year the movie came out in 2006." So I'm like,
"Well,
and really quickly,
when did the nuclear war happen? That was in 1980s or something."
Maybe. Well, I meant like
I think it was
that quick shot of like when they look up the priest. He's like, "Oh yeah, now he's like a priest now," and it said like July 2020. I was like, "Holy fuck, that's creepy."
Yeah, it was similar time frame. Like it was within the ballpark, I would say.
Like close enough again to still be kind of creepy, but it works. And I was looking it up. Like there is a reason why we said this movie still holds relevance today, not just because we went through that shit, but I was like remembering. I'm like the thing that now I tie to it so much is kind of like what you see at the end of the movie when you got all the people there. They all finally kind of got the same idea. They all put the masks on and just walked into town square against all these armed military guys. And I'm like, yeah, it reminds me of, there's a real life thing. There's, the group called Anonymous, and that's the mask they wear. I'm like, appropriately so. They all wear the Guy Fawkes mask. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That is like an actual thing that, kind of spawned from it. Art imitates life and vice versa, whatever. It's not too far-fetched to believe. That last shot there of them blowing up the embassy and like Big Ben and shit, I was like, that gives me, and they're all just sitting there watching it. That kind of gave me like Project Mayhem vibes, like from Fight Club. I was like, yeah, we're just gonna burn this bitch to the ground, and you met me at a weird time in my life, whatever. After I try to shoot myself in the mouth, whatever. But That's the vibe that end kind of gave me, and kind of like what Tex was saying. I mean, it's like the Joker. He just wanted to watch the world burn down because that was the whole idea. It's like you don't need a physical being. Like that's why V died. Spoiler, sorry, he died. But that was the point. It's like even if you don't live to see it, you know, the idea of it still happened. So it's pretty heavy, man. Like I said, it's pretty cool, and it's, you know, obviously very heavily poetic that she put him on the train that got sent straight into the embassy building. So in a way, I guess he probably got to see it from the other side. Also, if you shoot a kid in the middle of the street, that was some fucked up. That was no.
Hell,
Jesus.
Christopher Nolan straight up ripped this thing off twice. Batman Begins, he has that water vapor device on the train that he's going to send into the city, you know, headquarters building. Christopher Nolan, oh wow, he's a ripoff artist, man. I just realized that. Holy crap!
Now wait a minute. Batman Begins came out in 2005. This movie came out in 2006, so I don't think so.
Okay, so this one, okay. I'll give him a pass. It was similar timing, but okay. I'm watching you, Nolan. I got eyes on you.
Well, Runaway Train
Well, then the
is
Joker
not
came out.
something that was never used in a movie before either, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, you send a train into something. I mean, shit. Back to the Future 3. What did? We sent a train over a cliff. So, I mean, kind of... And then you get Eastwood Ravine named after you because for some reason Clint Eastwood existed 100 years before that. Whatever. Semantics with time travel.
Yeah, for me, I love the plot. It's political without being, at the time anyway, too current. It's
not yet.
Yeah, because I mean, I like to think that one political party or another is never really going to take over the United States and let it get to a point like this. But I mean, you never really know anymore.
We're pretty close today. Just saying.
So to see,
that's why they say they let us do that. If they ever become tyrannical twats, we're allowed to fight back. So that's
so to see this visual representation of it not in America, excuse me, but in a country that does for the most part have similar freedoms, not entirely, but kind of they're an ally of ours that we feel like you could go and have a regular life in. You're allowed to engage in commerce. There's a lot of democracy there in a different way than it is here. To see it take over Great Britain, which is one of our biggest allies and has been since, you know, the end of the Revolutionary War, really. To see it happen to them, it is kind of jarring to think that it could happen here. So it's interesting that you watch it happening in this movie across the pond, and you even hear in the background the stuff about the American Civil War and how things have gone to hell here in America, not knowing how their little virus that they intentionally spread to get power even impacted how things went with that. They don't really dive into that. It would have been interesting to see a little subplot about that, but there was a lot going on in this movie anyway, so adding all that stuff going on across the ocean in America probably would have been too much. But yeah, I think it's a great plot. I love the anti-hero. I love V's character growth. I mean, it's you get it in one big spurt how he explains it to you. Because I mean, obviously he's done some growing and maturing over the course of his existence, from when he leaves Lark Hill to when he ends up meeting, you know, putting his plan in place. He meets Evey and going through the events of the film. But it's really interesting to see how at the end, instead of seeing this plan through to the end, he gave it to Evey. He gave it to another person, which is not a small step. And a lot of that is his kind of personal character growth and the effect that Evey had on him. I also love the way that he explains it to her after the whole thing where he's got her in jail and he's interrogating her and all that. And he's trying to break her and to help her see the things that see things the way that he saw them. When he's having that conversation with her after she realizes it was all fake, and he's going through in very brutal terms how he got to where he was. It was really fantastic acting by whoever it was, James Purfoy. I think at that point it was probably Hugo Weaving. It was great acting by him. It was a great scene to understand his character growth. But yeah, excuse me, sorry, I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold. But it really is just a very interesting plot. It's what could be. That's the one thing that's interesting about it, is it's what could be if we let the politics get too out of hand, the politicians get too out of hand, if we start giving away the freedoms that we hold dear, we end up in a place like this. So it's a pretty stark reminder. Now, I mean, that begs the next question is, you know, we've already kind of alluded to it. This movie did kind of showed us some things that early, like several years beforehand, kind of, I mean, the last 3 years in the world has been a shot-for-shot remake of this movie in many ways. I mean, it's like the whole virus that takes over. You know, say what you will about who maybe did or didn't know. I mean, I don't think anybody knew that the virus, that COVID was coming, but I mean, just kind of the way that the government kind of not manipulated, but the way that they spun the virus to deliver certain messages that they wanted people to hear. And yes, that happened. You can get pissed at me all they want. It's pretty clear that it happened that way.
What did she say? Like, it's like this happened and all, like some of the virus spread and then the wealth stayed or some shit. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, it's been
scary.
It's been an odd. Like I said, this was at points a shot-for-shot remake of a lot of stuff that we've dealt with the last 3 years in the real world. Mm-hmm. And I'll go to you first, Tex. I mean, do you think that this movie gave us a little too clear a glimpse of what would end up being the future from when they made this movie, but kind of what we've experienced the last couple of years? How odd was that?
Well, as the resident conspiracy guy, it seems like no matter what circle of friends I happen to be, I'm always that guy. It's just who I am. But you know, the longer we live, the more conspiracies turn out to be true. If Cora were here, she'd be screaming at me, calling me whatever, and you know, I'm kind of sad she's not, to be honest with you. But no, the way there's so many events that happen in this movie, like I said, they're loose plot points structure wise, but in the world of 2023 today, they fit. They work. I mean, just turn on your news. 99.9% of the stuff that you see happen in this movie, they're talking about on the television. You know, this stuff is real. I mean, even down to go back to the riots we dealt with not too long ago. You had guys in all black out there causing trouble and riling people up, just like this film. There's so many plot points you can go to within this that it was a prediction of what's to come. I mean, I personally believe the conspiracy of Hollywood being part of the CIA, and whether it's an entertainment division, a informational division, whatever you want, I firmly believe that they are part of it. And when stuff like this comes out, or that, what was that epidemic movie with Matt Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow about? Oh, I can't remember the name of it now, but it was another kind of predictor movie of what was to come. When movies like this happen, you can't help but go, what did they know and who told them? It's almost like a Simpsons thing with Matt Groening. Like, how do you keep getting stuff right? It's, once or twice is okay, that's kind of weird, but 10 times, like happens in this one, it's nuts. It's like I said, it's scary to watch this in 2023 when we're on the verge of certain things. And if you go to some cities, they're very similar to this. There may not be a 9 o'clock curfew, but it doesn't feel like we're that far off. That's what's so scary.
Yeah. I don't know, Jeremy, what about you? We've already talked about it a little bit. I mean, some movies that happened 20, 30 years that were released 20, 30 years ago can sometimes kind of predict the way a thing will go. But this movie's been kind of on the nose. I mean, like I said, I was watching this yesterday. I was like, and I thought to myself, this is a shot-for-shot remake of the last 3 years of our lives. It's very, very weird. I mean, do you think that this movie gave this weird glimpse into what would, in many ways, be our future?
Well, and it's not like it couldn't still, it's not, because now we're kind of in the, if we're assuming like the part in the movie, like, they released this virus to their whole country. and then let that kind of, and they're like, oh, look, we're going to sweep in and save the day with all these drugs. And then we're going to kind of do the Nazi thing and like sweep a bunch of these people and do some fucking crazy experiments on them and shit. You know, there's that. But, and then it's like the aftermath. Like I said, that line that hit me was when they said like, oh yeah, this happened, but then all the wealth stayed. I'm like, yeah, now we're in that aftermath where, you know, there's hella inflation. Shit is just skyrocketing. I'm like, there's no saying that this still couldn't, you know, this could still get worse. This could still be, you know, yeah, and also with the world basically just being on fucking fire at the moment, you know, it's still something's gonna push that tea kettle just over that fucking edge, and it's gonna go off. As another wonderful Brit said once, it's about to go off. as I mentioned, Hot Fuzz. I love that movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because like I was just sitting there thinking to myself with the AI thing, especially with the Wachowskis doing the Matrix. I was thinking before that, I'm like with Terminator, it's still kind of that thing where I mean, I think we're living now about the time-ish that the whole thing was going off, like with John Connor being the leader of the resistance and all these crazy robots are now like, you know, in this war with humans, and this all happened back in like the mid 80s. I'm like, yeah, we're still trying to say like, hey, like, let's not let this get out of control because wild shit could happen. Now, if in the next couple of years, I don't know, some Skynet comes out of nowhere and there's robots, well, James Cameron's going to be giggling to himself at the bottom of the ocean. So, like, hiding from the whole thing. So, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I
think Skynet Day, wasn't it like last year or year before last?
The Judgment
the day that they mentioned in the first Terminator where Skynet goes live.
I was going to say, which Terminator timeline are we talking? Because there's like 15 of them now.
The one that matters. I think he means like when it became self-aware. I think that was just it was like August or some shit of this year. Yeah,
something like that.
August. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I don't know. There's like, I mean, if you want to quote the chief inspector, you've been at this long enough. Like I have, it's not even coincidences anymore. But it's like you kind of can't ignore like how many of those things all fell in line into one movie, and you're kind of like, holy shit. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I was around for 2006, but I'm just saying I wouldn't have thought like, oh well. That'd be wild if that happened, right? I mean, it's not like we didn't already have Mad Cow. And actually, when I was in high school, another part that hit me was I was in high school when that bird flu shit was going on. And I'm like, shit, they mentioned he's scrolling through the stuff. And it's like, oh, there's an avian flu. I'm like, well, son of a bitch, that happened too. Like, the more this piled on, the scarier it kind of got for me. Because I'm like, now we're getting to that tipping point. So, I don't know. If everyone wants to just Black Friday, let's just have a big Amazon day. We'll just all buy Guy Fawkes masks. Just tuck them away just in case. Just show up at your door. Just don't worry about it.
You might want to buy a hazmat gas mask instead of a Guy Fawkes, but you might live longer that way. Just saying. So prepare yourself.
I've seen Indiana Jones, man. I'll just hide in my fridge. It'll be fine. I'll be all right. There's jumping sharks and nuking fridges, man. You'll be fine.
Now, before we move on, there was one thought I did have as I was watching this whole thing, and I watched through the credits to see if it's played or not. But why in the world was War Pigs by Black Sabbath not played at some point during this movie? It would have fit perfectly.
I mean, not like the Rolling Stones part didn't fit, but yeah, you're right.
Well, I'm saying this, the specific Ozzy version that we've all heard 1,000 times, because like there's never been a pairing of movie and soundtrack that should have been made of that one song in a film, because it's literally the plot of the song. They're just showing it to you, but missed opportunity there. Wachowskis.
War Pigs is definitely the song of what happens in this movie. Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like that would have been perfect.
Or just about like maybe not any song from like Rage Against the Machine. What's the other one I'm thinking of? Is it Chop Suey? Where he says like, why don't presidents fight the war? Why do they always send the poor?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, President of Ukraine got the hell out there and started fighting, so I guess he kind of proved us wrong. So.
Yeah. We don't want.
Good on you.
Well, I'm not opening up that tangent. We'll be here all night, but it's all good.
No, it's pretty noble of him, though. I ain't gonna lie. That's a right there.
Yeah, it is terribly frightening how accurate this movie ended up turning out to be. I mean, I don't know that the Wachowskis had any prior knowledge of a virus being released in 2020. I'm not saying they did. I'm sure they didn't, but
I guess it seems a little more.
Really
I'm saying it.
It's more plausible than I get. Well, I don't want to say never, but then like a whole computer generated world being a fucking thing, and we're actually not even. I mean, that's a whole conspiracy too, that this is all just a simulation. So, I mean, I guess we don't really know. I don't know. I've never, no one ever unplugged me and pulled me out of my pod. So I don't know yet. I was going to say something else and I already forgot. There's a glitch in the matrix right there. I already just lost my train of thought. Somebody's up there with the admin code, just reset my brain like playing Sims.
Yeah, it is odd, but moving on real quick, I just want to ask Jeremy, what was your favorite scene in the entire movie? Because there's a couple of them.
I would say, you know what? I kind of got to get to go first. I can always take the good one because I mean, like you guys go, and then I'm like, well, both of those are cool. I guess when this happened, okay. So you know what? Screw you guys. I'm stealing it. I think. And it's probably the most badass part of the movie when if you've ever played Red Dead Redemption 1, you know where I'm about to go with this. When he's standing there in that metro with all those guys surrounding him with guns, and he's like, and I do love that line. It's pretty badass. He's like, "You and I both know we're both gonna die." He's like, "Yeah, how do you figure that?" Or like, "How do you figure I'm gonna die?" He's like, "With my hands around your neck." I was like, "Oh my god." And then they absolutely light him the fuck up. And then he just like pulls his head up and he goes, "My turn." And I'm like, he just goes off, just like slitting everybody's throats.
How does nobody go for a headshot though? Nobody goes for a headshot with 100 rounds. Like, that bugged me.
I would say that's hard to hit, but he was standing still. I don't know. That is
looking at his mask. I feel like they did. I don't know if he had a specially made mask that had Kevlar in it, but he had chips in it where it looked like bullets had kind of like gone off them. So I don't know. I'm with you. I'm like, you kind of train to go for the torso because there's less movement in the torso. But I mean, at the same time,
you want to hit here.
The guy was just standing right there. If he's giving you the money,
you got 20 guys. There's 20 guys shooting at you. Somebody can take out a knee or a head, something. Like, I understand you shoot dead center mass. I get it. I've been trained. Somebody take a headshot. Just say it. But,
maybe it is just that. Maybe it is just that cockiness of like, yeah, how is this guy gonna lift? They all just unloaded into him, and then I just love it. He just goes, "My turn." It just fucking knifes every single one of them. That was pretty damn cool. That's that's the, like Frank said, that's kind of the most Matrix part of this movie when he just slow motion goes off and there's like a little trail behind every like one of the knives like going through the air. That's kind of your hero moment, and I love it. So
I've got a little piece of trivia about how they shot that scene too, which is pretty cool. But I don't know, Tex, what about you? What scene stood out to you the most? What was your favorite scene in the film?
My favorite scene in any of this film is where Evey gets taken and thrown into the prison cell, getting her head shaved. That whole sequence in the film where and like I said, it's kind of dialogue heavy, but her transformation from I'm running from the law to becoming, Sarah Connor, basically. I like that portion. And the part of it that capitalizes the most is when, she looks up at what she thinks is her captor and she has no fear whatsoever and walks out into V's lair, underground bunker, bat cave, whatever you want to call it. And she realizes, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was. And, this is, where you obviously knew V wasn't a technical good guy, but anti-hero. The way she interacts with him, she goes from screaming and hating him to realizing that this was needed. Her transformation through this whole part is just magic to go watch. Even if you don't watch the whole movie, I would recommend going back on YouTube to find that one section. I think it's masterfully done.
Yeah, for me, I love when a movie puts it all together for you, kind of like you don't know what the hell you don't know what's going on. So it's like I love those pieces of dialogue where someone's explaining to you the motive and the mystery of it all. So I really like that scene. To a lesser extent, the scene where she's talking to the doctor is talking to V before she dies. And she's kind of breaking all down for him a little bit. I thought that was good. But when he's pretending to be William Rockwood and they're sitting there at the statue of the kids playing Ring Around the Rosies, which is interesting because that song is about the plague. But but when he's breaking it all down for the cops and it's like you're seeing the flashbacks and he's explaining it all, I love that fast-paced dialogue to get your heart racing a little bit. It's kind of like I was just watching JFK the other day, and the part where he's talking to Donald Sutherland's character X, as he's putting it all together, that's very fast-paced dialogue that gets your heart racing. So it doesn't always take action to really suck you in and to really get you going. Sometimes it's that right pace of dialogue where somebody's just laying it all out for you. It's just really, really crazy. So I love those. I love those scenes. Those are really, really good. Specifically the one where he's talking to the two cops and kind of laying it all out for him. I love that dialogue stuff. When great dialogue is delivered by great actors, it is fantastic. I love it. I think he does a really good job. Hugo Weaving does in that scene. But let's get to a little bit of trivia now. What's up, Rachel? Good to see you in the chat. What's up, girl? Let's see a little bit of trivia stuff. One of the cooler scenes to watch is the domino scene when he has set up all the dominoes and knocks them over. Let's see. Actually, this one's better. The domino scene where V tips over black and red dominoes to form a giant letter V. Get this, involved 22,000 dominoes. It took 4 professional domino assemblers 200 hours to set it up and about 3 seconds to knock it all down. That's
funny you just mentioned Rachel, because we watched that. She's like, I wonder how they did that. I'm like, it had to be a fucking headache, I'm sure. I was thinking maybe some of it was CG, but I'm like, no, that might actually be real, and that's pretty damn insane. But
they had to restart like 4 times doing that. Like somebody kicked one or
one fell over out of place.
That happened.
Damn it. That last one didn't stand up so he could pull it out, and I'm like, fucker.
Damn it, reset. Reset
the whole thing. We're doing it again.
Yeah, we're putting this off another year.
Yeah, I am not patient enough to do that. It's like I love the artistry of all that, but I don't know that I could put that much work into something just to watch it go away in like 5 seconds. Seriously, 20,000 dominoes, 4 professional domino assemblers, 4 of them, 200 hours, man-hours of work to set it all up, all for that guy to hit one little thing.
It's a badass shot. I was thinking
all for him just to be like, dink. And then in about 10 seconds, it's all gone. I don't know that I could do that.
It's like they did that in 7. They hand wrote all those damn journals in his room, just for Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman to read like 2 or 3 pages of it. I'm like, I appreciate the work and effort you put in. You had like a crew of people working for like a week straight, just writing down random shit in all these notebooks. But I'm like, Jesus, just for the scene that lasted like 30 seconds, I'm like, oh my God. So I can appreciate it, but Jesus, I wouldn't want to be at work that day.
That's the work that goes into some of these scenes, man. That's why I always tell people they don't film these movies over the course of 2 or 3 hours and together and give them to you. It takes weeks and months to do some of these movies, all for a 2-hour-long movie. Months on set, and then a year or more of pre-production before that. So there's a lot that goes into a 2-hour movie. A lot of people don't realize. Yeah. Let's see. Certain scenes within this movie actually feature James Purefoy as V, who was originally cast in the role, but replaced by Hugo Weaving 4 weeks into filming. Weaving's voice was simply dubbed over Purefoy's performance in post-production. Director James McTeigue said in the interview, Can I tell the difference? Yeah. Can the audience tell the difference? I doubt it.
No,
I wouldn't be able to tell. I couldn't.
Well,
he's dressed head to toe in all black.
there
and
are
he's got a
some
mask on the whole-
scenes.
I can't tell.
There are some scenes where V looks taller than in other times, but you can kind of believe it because different camera angles or the way it's shot. Maybe he's closer to the camera, so he looks taller or whatever. But yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see James Purefoy finish this movie out. As much as I'd like the finished product, James Purefoy is a great actor. He's been in a lot of stuff that I've really liked.
Actually,
like I said, season 1 of The Following, phenomenal.
Wasn't there like one quick scene in Back to the Future where it's Eric Stoltz, like where he punches Biff in the face or some shit? Like
I don't know if they actually left anything that Eric Stoltz shot into that. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
I'm not sure either, but I thought it was like one quick, like that quick when he punches him straight in the face. It's the back shot of him, like and of course cuts right back to Michael J. Fox. I'm like, I don't know if any of it's still in the movie, but if that one little quick punch was, I'm like, that's kind of funny to me. If it was.
Let's see. They had the whole shot at Trafalgar Square. Let's see. Background checks were conducted on every actor, actress, and technician who carried a weapon in the Parliament Square scene. The barcodes on each piece of weaponry were scanned to track the individuals authorized to handle them.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Wow.
That's wild. Well, got to control that.
So you're telling me that they had gun control in a movie where you're not allowed to have guns. This is what you're telling me right now. Makes a lot of sense.
Especially in a country where they don't really have guns anyway. So, like in real life. So.
Oh my God, the scene where the I don't know what the English version of SWAT is, but when they're in the truck and you see the weapons barrage in the middle of them, instead of assault rifles and whatever, there's these electric batons all in there. The way they linger on that, it was almost like, even, certain members of police are not allowed to have a firearm. I thought that was done intentionally, but, I did find it interesting.
They could still have their phasers set to stun at this point. Maybe they're just like, let's just crowd control him for a second. Let's not kill him yet. Although, again, you just shot that little girl in the middle of the fucking street. And John Hurt was pretty adamant about, if you're caught, you're dead. No trial, no nothing. You're dead. That's it. I'm like, yeah. I'm just going to tickle you with my little stun gun. But you put a magnum to that kid's fucking back. So, I mean, what do you want, man? Makes sense. Somebody fired that guy. He didn't get the memo that day.
Yeah, the reason there was so much security is because of where they filmed it. To film the final scene at Westminster, the area from Trafalgar Square and Whitehall up to Parliament and Big Ben had to be closed for 3 nights from midnight until 5 a.m. This was the first time that this security-sensitive area, which is the home to 10 Downing Street and the Ministry of Defense, had ever been closed to accommodate filming. For those of you who don't know, 10 Downing Street is basically the British White House.
Yeah.
So I wonder if what would happen today if you went into that area wearing the Guy Fawkes mask. Are you getting tackled automatically because somebody watched this movie or something? We know what your top likes to do. You're not getting anywhere near here.
It may not be the best video, probably.
I think Guy Fawkes is looked at as kind of a hero in the UK, though. I mean, they have Guy Fawkes Day every year, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe not to the, elite type, what I'm saying?
It would also be much harder to get underneath Parliament to blow it up, so. I would imagine security's a little bit tighter now than it was 400 years ago. Or it probably is a little bit tighter now than it was 20 years ago.
Well, that's I mean, I don't live in England, but isn't that also because that shot in 28 Days Later where he goes across the bridge and there's Big Ben in the background? They had to do that shit in the
I thought that too.
How man, how do you even begin? What's that? Was it Vanilla Sky? Tom Cruise where he runs through Times Square and it's just fucking empty. The same thing. I'm like, how do you even begin to It's crazy that they begin to let people do shit like that. I'm like, I get it. It's Hollywood, and they can probably be like, all right, you got 5 minutes, do it. We can't just shut down the whole street for however long you need it.
especially at certain times of the day.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, you can't, because like we said, some places are just characters in themselves. Like, New York City, that's a character in a lot of movies, So, because it's recognizable and you see it, just like with Big Ben. I'm like, yeah, you see him walking. I'm talking about 28 Days Later. You see him walking across that bridge, and everything's just disheveled, and there's just paper everywhere, and everyone's gone, and he's just screaming like, "Hello, like, hello." Dominoes aside, and 200 man hours, but damn it, if you had to shut that whole thing down for 3 nights, whew. I don't know how the movie business does it, man.
Yeah, BJ said the city gets paid big bucks. It wasn't just that. I don't know if I put it in here or not.
That's probably true.
Did I put it in here? No, I didn't. So I can go ahead and mention it right now. Actually, Tony Blair, who was the prime minister of the UK at the time, his son was actually got hired on as some production assistant or something like that for this film while he was in office, and that caused a little bit of a stir politically for him in Great Britain. But some people even went as far as to say that the reason why they got permission to film in that security sensitive area where they don't often let people film was because they let his son get a job there or something like that. Whereas Tony Blair was just like, "Are you kidding me?" he was like, if I had to let my son direct the movie, I could see where you guys would have a problem with it. Because he was basically the guy that went and got the director of Coke when he needed one. It's like, come on, what the hell? He wasn't a big part of the movie or anything. I'm not even sure he was in the credits, to be honest.
That would make sense that one of George Bush's war buddies, Tony Blair, got his boy a job in a movie about basically the New World Order taking over and doing all the things that they do. It kind of fits the programming. And the dude that was in charge of all this, the very Dick Cheney looking dude, there's a lot of similarities here if you want to go down a different rabbit hole. Just saying, there's, I don't think these are coincidences, people. I think they're trying to tell you something.
No, please. Iron Sky was way worse than making the president of the United States, who's an absolute bumblefuck, making the president of the United States look just like fucking Sarah Palin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It was so dumb.
Also,
Same thing with the day after tomorrow, freezes or whatever. It's like basically the Indian president. He's a dead ringer for Cheney. So it's like, come on, just don't be so on the nose. It looks
I was wondering too with that last shot. I'm like, another way they could get around this. I'm like, you can always build mini sets and stuff. I mean, obviously when you see Independence Day when they blow up, the Empire State Building, they blow up the White House. I'm like, yeah, those were obviously sets and they just blew them up. They weren't just sitting there filming and then CG'd or did whatever they want to do with the set, So I thought maybe that was the route they took, but I mean, to know they actually did that's pretty wild. It makes it even cooler.
Yeah, do you guys? I mean, I love going into what could have been for casting. Did you guys know that Bryce Dallas Howard, Scarlett Johansson, and Keira Knightley all auditioned for the role of Evey Hammond?
Keira Knightley, fuck you.
Wow.
Somebody saw Phantom Menace and was like, "Man, they look exactly the same." Wild. Screw you. I could have seen that, but wasn't she? Well, I was thinking this is what 2005 or 6? 2006.
2006. This came out.
So this is right off the tail of Revenge of the Sith. So I'm like, she just got done doing Star Wars. Natalie Portman did.
Well, that and James McTeigue, I think, was an assistant director on Star Wars, one of the Star Wars prequels.
Okay. And, then I was thinking Keira Knightley. I'm like, 2006, you're getting close up on, the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So she was balls deep.
So I was going to say, didn't 2 come out right around that same time? Because I remember going to see it in theater.
I think you're right. I think it might have been the year before. So, but the year this movie came out, because it was 2003.
It was right around that same window.
Yeah, then they jumped ahead. I think it might have been 2005 or 6, and then I remember. I think I remember specifically 2007 was 3, and then I just dropped off after that with Pirates. I'm like, nah, I like it as a trilogy. I don't know. I love Johnny Depp. I love Captain Jack, but I'm like, man. 3 movies, you might have pushed it a little too far with 4.
Yeah, he was an assistant director.
All of those castings.
City, 1998. He was the assistant director of the entire Matrix trilogy. He was the assistant director of Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This was his directorial debut. He's also collaborated with the Wachowskis 4 times as a director on The Invasion, albeit uncredited, never saw. I know the movie, I've just never seen it. Ninja Assassin, cool movie. He directed that, and he directed some episodes of Sense8 and was a producer on Matrix Resurrections.
That might have been how they got Natalie Portman then, if that was Attack on the Clones. So that, they all know each other. So
I don't know. I could see any of those other castings in this film, but Natalie Portman, she did amazing in this role. Like I said, she goes from like innocent coffee girl to, full-on revolutionary in just this span of 2 hours or whatever. This may be her best acting role. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Natalie Portman films besides the Star Wars prequels, but yeah, she did great in this film.
kind of did the Ellen Ripley thing, and they both even shaved their head for it.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. She goes from coffee girl to Sarah Connor or Ripley.
Right.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Now, in the movie, the flowers that V grows, the Scarlet Carson roses, that's actually a fictitious name. The roses are, in fact, Grand Prix roses. In the comic, V grew Violet Carson roses, an existing rose type.
Oh.
I've always wanted to grow Scarlet Carsons. I didn't realize till a couple years ago when I started to look into it that I was like, oh, yeah, Scarlet Carsons don't actually exist. They're just roses. Kind of disappointed.
Well, my favorite flower is a fictional flower that doesn't exist. It only exists in a video game, and it sucks.
I don't know. I kind of like those blue flowers from the Purge movies. I think those are probably my favorite probably my favorite movie flower. I've always wanted like one of those on my porch. Is like, oh yeah, I'm in support of this. Let's go murder each other. But yeah.
The door is like, let's go, motherfuckers. He's got a shotgun.
Pro Purge. Vote Purge in 2024. That's how I'm voting. So everybody jump on my calls. Let's do this.
There it is. Hold on. There it is. It's called a death bell. It's from Skyrim. It's like this droopy
nice.
Purple and blue flower. I'm like, I love that thing. It's just really cool. It's
looks like
used. Yeah, there's a better one of it. You can't really.
Oh yeah.
God damn it. Whatever, you get it. Look it up. Actually, no, Frank, you were when we came over and we did the painting. That's what I did. Remember, I did that.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I know I did that. I know Frank knows what I'm talking about. Because I'm like, wait, that's the picture I used. Was literally the one I just showed you guys. That one of it. Yeah, I think it's used in some poisons.
Dope.
I'm trying to remember what the flower. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the flower. I think it's used to make some potions. I think it's like poison effects, which makes sense. Yeah, it's a cool flower.
Let's see, but Jeremy, in a little Matrix callback, when V enters the building and is challenged by the guard, V opens his coat, revealing a large amount of explosives taped to his chest. The guard curses in surprise. Yeah. There is a similar scene in the Wachowskis movie The Matrix in 1999 where a large amount of weapons is shown instead of explosives. So that was a little bit of a callback to The Matrix.
Yeah. This time it was Agent Smith, but whatever, yeah. So
it was Agent Smith doing the damage, but
symmetry, Mr. Anderson. It's all about symmetry. Yeah, I don't know.
Talking about that scene in the let's see, where'd my picture of it go? I must not have brought it up. But talking about that scene that Jeremy was talking about when all of his boys shoot him up in the train station. When shooting the fight scene in Victoria Station, the stuntman moves in slow motion on set, while David Leitch, who was Hugo Weaving's stunt double, moved in real time, making it seem as if he was moving much faster than the fingerman. The scene was shot at 60 frames per second to slow the fingerman down even further. So that's how they managed to get that kind of effect, where he looked like he was moving so much faster. It wasn't just like crazy trick photography or double. I know what they used to do on film was they would double layer the 35 millimeter back in the day. It was a kind of a crude way of doing it, but it would work.
Or it's like, was it that you undercrank the film so it looks a lot like some of the old kung fu movies and shit from like the 70s and 80s. You undercrank it so it looks faster.
Yeah.
That's cool.
One thing about that final fight that I would like to know more about, and I might actually look it up once we're off of here. In that final fight where you see V coming through and like slicing the throat, and you see the blood. I haven't seen a whole lot of how if they did that practically. It looks like they did, like they had the appliance on the throat or whatever. But I don't know if they added any in post, like when it sprays on the wall or whatever. That was done pretty well. I think that was a good mix of practical with CG, kind of beefing it up a little bit or whatever. But I like that.
I would imagine.
It
I would imagine in the train station, a lot of it was probably there was a lot of CGI. But when he takes over the BTN tower, because all that stuff, it looked like all of it was shot in real time. I would imagine a lot of that was probably practical or mostly practical.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like I said, they just had like the appliance on him, and they sliced it thinly or did however they wanted to do it. And it looks really good though. Like you can tell they cranked the color up bright red to show kind of like it was almost the Sin City movies levels of like blood brightness, how it just explodes out of the throat. Which, this being a comic book movie, you could see the comic book influence with those shots, especially. I like that too.
Well, that fight scene was straight out of a comic book for real. That's
Well, this is for the ones that don't know, V for Vendetta is owned by DC Comics. Yeah, this is maybe the most forgotten about DC movie ever. I don't think I've heard very many people say. I don't know very many people that have read the comic book from the 80s, to be honest with you.
I've got the graphic novel right there with the mask.
If anyone hasn't noticed, Frank has the mask right over his shoulder, like as if this isn't like a movie.
I would have pulled it out and wore it again, but I was like, I shouldn't have opened it in the first fucking place. But whatever. I've worn it a couple times on Derailed, so whatever. Go watch.
I would like to see V in like the world of Batman. Now, obviously, I know you would have to do some weird multiversal thing, but hey, that's what comic books are for. I'd like to see an interaction between those two characters to see, like, is this like a kind of like Azrael from DC Comics? Is he's technically a good guy, but he's wanting to get bloody, and Batman has his no killing code that everybody goes by these days. Like, how would Batman interact with V? That's one thing I thought about watching this as well. That'd be kind of interesting to see.
Azrael is kind of that character. I mean, and you also could.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, this is post-apocalyptic. You could do like the Nightmare Batman, where it's like, shit went sideways.
There's a lot of ways it could. Like I said, V's basically Joker, but with the conscience of humanity. So how does Batman interact? Does he work with this guy? Does he, how would it play out? What if? I mean, hey, what if is a comic book property? I know it's Marvel, but hey, put V in a Batman thing. That'd be cool.
Well, Batman does eventually kind of come around to like, you know what? I'm going to kill some people now. So, he does go down that route eventually, like where he gets old and he's just screwed. I'm killing people now. I don't care anymore.
Well,
Batman should kill people.
He definitely did, damn it. Keaton definitely killed that damn guy who threw in that thing with the bomb.
He's killed people and everything. It's just the people that it's not. Batman doesn't want to kill. It's people that are watching it have, a yellow streak up their back. That's the problem. So.
As goofy as it is, I'm like, it is kind of a funny explanation for it. He's like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. I'm like, you still killed him though, then. Okay, man.
Isn't that accessory to murder? Then, it's whatever.
Just not like manslaughter, maybe. Like, come on, man. You were there and you could have done something. All right.
Right.
Let's see. The Houses of Parliament destroyed in this movie are actually not the same buildings which Guy Fawkes planned to destroy back in 1605. The original Parliament buildings were destroyed in a fire in 1834. The current buildings are built on the same site and took 30 years to build, finishing in 1870. They were largely destroyed again in World War II and rebuilt to the original design in the late 1940s.
Oh,
I didn't realize that the Houses of Parliament had been fucked up that much over the years.
Well, that one fire that one time, so the bridge fell down.
Yeah, I mean, during World War II, basically all of Europe was dismantled, so that's believable. Obviously, it happened, but I didn't know that wasn't the same buildings. To be real honest with
you, the same building, but not the same buildings. Same place, but not the same buildings. That's
right.
What that means.
Right.
But let's see. Natalie Portman's hair could only be cut one time So a professional barber donned V's iconic black gloves and essentially portrayed the character in the brief scene where her head is being shaved. Because her head can only be shaved one time, they actually got 3 different cameras to capture the event so that they had plenty of footage to use during editing.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that happened. I was like, that looks like that was actually happening. I'm like, well, you better get that right.
Well, I remember she had done a red carpet thing about the time that this movie was filming, and she had done the red carpet like, all dressed up and stuff with her head still shaved. And a lot of people were like, what the fuck happened to Natalie Portman's hair? And she was like, oh, I did it for a movie. And she's not really going into it, but she's like, yeah, I'm doing a movie. I did it for a movie.
Well, right, yeah. And they're
like,
but
she actually said that she was excited to do it. That it's something she had wanted to do for a long time. Just like buzz it all down, just to do it.
There you go.
I know I wonder how much money she got extra for that, because I know Sigourney Weaver, I believe it's Alien 3, where she gets her head shaved in that prison planet or colony, whatever that is. She got like 10 or 15 grand to do the head shaving. Like they really had to talk her into it. So I wonder how much Portman got money-wise from this.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe she just heard it was like, oh yeah, I'll totally fucking do it.
You're getting
maybe.
Hey,
you're getting paid anyway. So.
I've never been into bald chicks, but she still looks freaking hot and bald. I gotta be real honest with you. I'm like, you know what? That ain't bad. I can deal with it. So,
like you tell me Sigourney Weaver still isn't attractive? Come on now.
I'm not saying she's not, but Natalie Portman, I think, is a class above. But, taste is perceptive. It is what it is.
Let's see. Also, it's interesting to think about who could have directed this film. This was actually a movie that they were trying to make for a long time. In the late 1980s, when Joel Silver developed the film, Stanley Kubrick was actually offered to direct, but he turned it down in order to do films mainly stuck in development hell. Even Sir Kenneth Branagh was at one time attached to direct this in the late 80s. That could have been Kenneth Branagh would have made an interesting film, I think.
That would have been cool. That would have been really
I
fun.
want a Kubrick version of this story because, we know his ties to the conspiracy world. That could have been very interesting. Obviously, it can't happen now, but
yeah, but you could
have been fun.
You couldn't have shot at that one, the heavily guarded place 127 times, so I don't think he would have been fucking okay with that.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for anything Kenneth Branagh, so I think that would have been a lot. That would have been really, really interesting.
Cool.
Kubrick, I don't know. His directorial style, while awesome, is kind of unique. It's a little too artistic, maybe, for a movie like this. I'm not saying he would have. I'm not saying he wouldn't have made a good movie, but he's got a certain shooting style that I don't know would have. Because this movie is very otherworldly, and I think that one of the things that Kubrick was very good about. I mean, you could say that he did Clockwork Orange very well. That was a very otherworldly kind of movie. But I mean, the real life gritty stuff, like, why am I drawing a blank?
Shining?
No, not Shining.
Vietnam
movie. Am I drawing a blank?
Oh, Full Metal Jacket. I was going to get there. I
think that's kind of where his directorial talents lied, making it to be a bit not like Westworld, something like that. To go that route might have been a little too outside what his artistic visions, his best visions were. But it would have been interesting either way. Kenneth Branagh would have been interesting to see him do this. But I think it all landed in the right place at the right time. I think it was movie, so I can't really continue. Let's see. In the original graphic novel, the leader's name is actually Adam Susan, not Sutler. He was actually renamed Sutler in the movie because it sounded similar to Hitler, and they wanted people to hate him like they hated Hitler.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
As in, like, the action that he takes in the movie wouldn't make you hate him enough.
Right.
They went very heavy-handed, like Jeremy was saying earlier, the whole, hey, this is our Hitler. I mean, he's screaming into a camera, and when you see him raising arms at the speech and the stormtroopers are walking by, this is obviously knockoff World War II footage, just, updated. It very heavy-handed, but for this kind of story, for a comic book, exaggerated world story, it works.
Well, I mean, how about that flag that guy had in his little basement? It was like a combination of the American flag, the Union Jack, and a Reich flag.
And the swastika.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
How about that? Forgot that was in this movie. Damn.
Let's see. A couple more pieces of trivia. One of the coolest scenes, for the scene when V emerges from Lark Hill, stunt double Chad Stahelski literally walked through fire wearing just a special fire-resistant gel and a G-string. Stahelski's body temperature had to be lower before the scene was shot, and luckily, it was 3 degrees below zero the night of the shoot. 15 minutes before a take, he would put on ice-cold, flame-resistant clothing, and once he took them off, he would be covered with fire-resistant gel, which had been icing all day long. Dude,
wow.
I fucking love that. I love
that guy. That guy is the star of the fucking show.
That's
dude,
awesome.
I don't like being cold. I just do not like being cold. I'm a California kid. I like comfortable temperatures. 70 degrees is kind of like my butter zone. That's where I like it. I can deal. I experience cold. I don't enjoy it. I've been very lucky that lately that normally this time of year where I live it's starting to get a little colder. Last week or so has been actually very comfortable, but I could not do that. Dude, props to this guy for doing that. I mean, lowering your body temperature is kind of a dangerous thing physically anyway. Even if you're in great shape, lowering your body temperature could not be a good thing. And then to cover yourself in ice cold flame resistant gel and then walk out in a G-string while shit's burning around you. I mean, that is like that's dedication to your craft. You deserve a lifetime achievement award for this scene alone, as far as I can see.
Well, it pays off because I mean that whole scene is about Evey was reading the notes how the woman that wrote it said God was in the rain, right? And it cuts from the man in the flames being he's kind of born of the fire. If God is of the rain, then the devil is of fire. It's the symbolism they're going with, and it's a very, like I said, that's why I like that transformation part so much. It's symbolically just gorgeous of a shot. And now, I mean, knowing that, talk about roasted nuts on another level. I mean, good Lord, that you got to really, really hope everything goes right. But that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is suffering for your craft. So I mean, go on Twitter and blow up Chad Stahelski.
This man is an actual fucking Chad.
Stahelski? Maybe I'm probably not even pronouncing his last name right, but I mean, go find that dude and show him some fucking love on Twitter, on the internet, because that is one of the best stunt jobs you could ever have done. It's like I couldn't do that. I couldn't cover myself head to toe in ice cold flame retardant and walk through a fire. Well, I would walk through the fire fully dressed.
It didn't go too good for Kane Hodder that one time, but accidents happen.
True.
Yeah, but it's Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder's a big dude, man. He's all right.
But one more bit of trivia, and I decided to go ahead and go with this because I haven't tortured Jeremy with this kind of thing in a while. So what do you think? And look, and we've been doing nothing but horror movies, and I've been laying off the body count for a while. I could have very easily.
Well, that's because I can just cheat. I can just watch kill count. That's why.
But I'll set the over/under at 70. Over/under body count for this movie. Jeremy, what do you think?
Oh, what did you say? 70?
Over/under at 70.
If I say over/under, do you want to take a guess?
You can. I'll just take an over/under if that's all you want to give me.
I'm gonna say under, and I'll base it under, but I want to say. Oh shit! I forgot about that. Wait, there was a whole hospital we did to burn down. Shit. You know what? No, I'll say under.
Jeremy's taking under. Tex, how about you? Got the over/under set at 70.
I'll take over. Give me 95, Bob.
$1, Bob.
$1, Bob.
He didn't $1. That's cool. Again, this is from IMDb, and we've discussed many times that we have no idea where the hell they get these numbers at.
Right,
The official body count, according to IMDb, is 73.
Ah, fuck you.
Wow.
I should have still bid $1. That would have been fucking closer. No? I still would have had it.
I don't know how they come to this. I mean, I personally, it's like if you're counting the...
Well, I mean, all the guys he killed at the end, and I thought, wait a minute, do all the people in the hospital count? And then there's all the people that V was killing.
Right.
Like the little girl. Well, so
there were lights on in the Parliament buildings when they blew up, so people are obviously in there. So, like, do they not count? These rules make no sense.
I forgot about that. It's definitely over then.
I figured that maybe they're counting like the flashbacks of the hospital where they're experimenting on people.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
I figured maybe they're counting.
Well, there's a whole trench full of dead people there.
But that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, are you counting them? And if you're counting them, how do you not count the people that died during the virus, which I assume would be in the millions?
He said like 100. He said about 100,000 people died. So
yeah, so I mean. I don't know. Like it's weird that you would count this one group. Maybe it's just the on-screen stuff. I mean,
which is what I was trying to think.
I think they're just throwing out numbers to have more trivia facts on their stupid website. I'm calling IMDb out on their bullcrap here. I'm wise to your game there, IMDb. You just want to sound smart and new. We know movies, so we're just going to make up stats to confuse stupid podcasters like us to where we argue about it on a weekly basis almost. That's all that they're doing. I'm wise to your game.
I wonder if there's a more accurate. I'm going to try to look real quick.
Like I said, can we get second opinions? Jesus Christ.
There's only one person we can trust with a kill count. We need to go get the old boy from YouTube over here and get an accurate. He's the only authority I trust on this.
Yeah, like I said, I can watch James do fucking, kill.
Yeah, if James from Kill Count doesn't say it, it's not gospel.
Huh?
There is actually a website. At least there was. What is this? Okay, so my virus scanner is saying don't go to this website, so we're not going to be going to that site.
Anonymous found you, I'm telling you.
Let's see. I'm trying to. Well, yeah. It was the one that came up was moviebodycounts.com, but it's telling me no, don't go there because this is not cool. So let's see. And it's not giving me much of anything else.
Stranger things have happened on the internet, though. So
yeah, really. It's giving me a movie called Death Count, Marvel movie Death Count. That's an article from Digital Spy, so it's not really a website. Well,
you already said it. They say in the movie 100,000 died in the virus. We get to see the bodies in the trench. They blow up an entire parliament. We know people were in there, plus the ones that V kills and everything else. So you can throw a number at it. You can technically be right because we don't know what the actual number is. But,
yeah, it's not. Yeah, I'm not going to go to that. I'm not going to risk going to that site. I want my computer to continue working. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to find another source. But yeah, well, I'll definitely have to try to find a way to cross-reference those numbers in the future because I don't always believe that. I don't always believe that IMDb has got an accurate count. I mean, I found pieces of trivia on there. It's like one after another that contradicts one another. One will say like, this person hated this movie, and then the very next one will be like, this person loved this movie, and I'm like, both those things can't
go back to our Exorcist Believer review where they're throwing out how the Exorcist television show, canon-wise, they mention Reagan's mom being dead in the TV show, and that's the only thing that argues with canon of this film when there are two girls playing Reagan. Even they, the most basic of stuff, even they don't have everything. But what are you going to do?
It's like when we were trying to figure out Carrie.
No
it's like, well, there was a sequel, and they said, like, oh, this people died in the school. I'm like, well, did they, though? I don't know. Just throw a number out there. I don't know.
But that sounds like a good place to start wrapping things up. Let me get some final thoughts from you guys on V for Vendetta. I'll start with you, Tex. Wrap us up here. What do you think of V for Vendetta?
Eerily close film to what we're living in. If you haven't seen it, go find it. I have the DVD. I don't know where it's streaming at, but I'm sure you can give it a Google. Excellently shot. This is one you need to find. This is one that, even if you're not a conspiracy nut, it will ring true. So, I mean, Frank is more of a level-headed kind of type. I think is a fair statement, and even he can see, like, wait a minute, this is kind of scary how this has been done. But excellent acted, action is great, film looks great. This is a must-watch if you haven't seen.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? Final thoughts on V for Vendetta?
Yeah, I can help Tex out with that. It's free on Amazon Prime and HBO Max. Yeah. Everything else is behind a paywall, but yeah. So if you get into those, yeah, like he said, definitely go check that out. It's it's another one of those where you can look at these dystopian movies and kind of be like, yeah, if it can make you stop for a second and think, wait a minute, something starts clicking in your brain, like, wait a damn second, it's kind of scary, and it just speaks more to the fact that it's relevant, and especially more so now that we kind of did just live through this movie for a hot second there, and you know what, we may still be. So I don't know. Well,
they're gonna say we ain't out of it yet, partner.
No, well, there's always some. You know what? I'm gonna end it with one more damn final hot fuzz. There's always something going on, Danny. So, yeah, it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, for me, this is the perfect, like I said earlier, this is the perfect example of why we have opposition parties. If just one way of thinking takes over, then you're going to get what you end up getting in this movie. And that's why you need balance politically, because you would get this. It is very oddly prophetic, really weird how it predicted. Maybe it wasn't trying to predict anything. Maybe it was just like, I'm going to tell this weird story that just so happened to have been lockstep with what we've been dealing with for the last several years. But yeah, it is odd. You watch it now and you start to think, wait a minute, have I been here? Have I lived this? When did this begin made last year or 15 years ago? It was 15 years ago, kids. They Simpson the fuck out of this.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird that my neighbor was walking around outside in the fucking snow in his G-string. I thought that was just really weird. But I guess it was true.
It was true. It all happened. He walked covered in flame-resistant gel, just walking around a G-string in a 0-degree day. But
right.
But one thing I don't want to go ignored here also is the soundtrack of this movie is really good. A couple of the songs that play throughout the course of the movie are on the soundtrack, and it's this great slow bluesy kind of thing. So I actually was listening to the soundtrack a little bit today as I was getting stuff together for the stream. It's quite good. Not just the instrumental stuff, the score, but I mean some of the songs that were used in the film. Very, very good. Really good. Not the hard-hitting rock stuff that Tex likes, but I mean slow, bluesy, melodic. A couple of the singers with great voices. Something London was one of the girls that sings one of the songs. I think the one they danced to towards the end of the movie. It's actually a very good song. So, I mean, check out the some of the songs that were in the soundtrack as well. But yeah, it's a great watch. Again, it's political action. It has a couple of different things that can keep a lot of people excited, but also it's just a really great movie. It's my personal favorite Wachowski siblings film, even a little bit above The Matrix, to be perfectly honest. Maybe if the Matrix movies would have all been good, I would probably put The Matrix ahead of it. But I mean, this is just one movie, no sequel. It stands alone by itself as one solo piece of art, and I think you get a kick out of it. Like Jeremy said, you can watch it on Amazon. There's actually 2 versions on Prime. One of them's behind a paywall for a reason I don't fully understand. I didn't look into it that much. I've noticed
that a few times. I don't know why some do it, and then it's literally just the movie again, but for free, like it should be. I
don't know if it's like a director's cut or if there's some special shit about it, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's.
I've noticed
Spanish
a few that I've looked
know.
up. A few of them I looked up have done that, and I'm like, this is the same. It's just like a different screenshot for it, or it's whatever, different poster. I'm like, it seems like the same movie. I don't know why you're paying for one and one you're not.
Yeah, I also have this on DVD, so I can watch it whenever I want. I actually watched it on Prime yesterday, but I do have it on DVD. But yeah, so go check it out. I think you guys get a kick out of it, especially with what we've dealt with the last couple of years. It's weird. It's one of those movies you're going to pause it a couple times.
Yeah.
And like, wait a minute, how did that go down again? Wait, can we talk about this? But yeah, also great acting jobs as well. I mean, it's very, very well cast, this film as well. So yeah, a really great movie. I think you guys are going to kick out of it if you haven't seen it. A couple different places you can go watch it for free. Give it a try. Thanks to my amazing co-host for coming and kicking ass yet again. My man Tex, the chef from Lone Star State. What do you got going on, my friend?
Oh, not a whole lot. I mean, obviously, we have a couple big days coming up here. I'm looking forward to the football talk tomorrow. I had a great week in fantasy. I beat Cora in the fantasy in our sleeper league, our picker league over there. So I'm excited to talk fantasy tomorrow. And I was I'm in a couple leagues. There's some idiots out there that had CJ that actually cut CJ Stroud the week before he gets 5 touchdowns in one game. And I was lucky enough to pick him up. So you know what? Things are good right now. So I'm looking forward to talking about it. So come back tomorrow.
And to my hetero life mate Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you on the internet, sir?
I am here. I'm definitely not typing something, so I don't forget to say it. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here on Thursday. Hey man, I'm getting old and forgetful. Okay. Here on Tuesday, Tuesday and Thursday, and whenever the hell else Frank tells me to be here. But yeah, that's the main body of work. So also still working the way through this OG Fortnite season, which I don't really understand why it's only here for a month and then it's gone. Seems like a weird little placeholder before they give us like a full season, which is a few months, maybe like 2 months or some shit. But I've been enjoying the hell out of that. But quickly realizing again,
I miss the OG map so much.
It's so nice. There's something about it. Something about they brought back all the old guns. There's something about it, man. I'm like, I picked up the pump shotty again, and I'm like, yeah, this is my happy place right here. A green or blue pump shotty. Oh my god, it smacks and it smacks hard. That's why I like it. But again, I'm playing no build this time, so I don't have to deal with building. But I'm starting to now quickly realize again, like, there it is. There's kind of the BS of me just getting absolutely rolled the fuck over by 3 other teams who all decided to converge on our area and not shoot each other for some reason instead of just shooting us. But whatever. That's how the game goes, and I'm enjoying it. If you stayed to the end of the video, I definitely promised I would say what I was talking about at the beginning. There's a game series, and I guess if for some reason you're like me and haven't played this game, I was watching a video about like scary crap and like video games, like the hidden stuff. And there was one in this game, and it's kind of on par with this, called Metro. The one that was talking about specifically was Metro Exodus. I just grabbed my thing. God damn it. It's a post-apocalyptic first-person shooter. I cannot talk today. And it's set in like a nuclear warfare Russia, where, as the name suggests, people took shelter in the metro underground. And there's all kinds of Resident Evil type horrifying shit down there. But yeah, I was looking at it, and I mean, Exodus is actually, it seems like the other one goes out. It kind of had a Fallout vibe because it's like, oh yeah, you were born and you lived down in these metros and you never actually got to go out and explore what happened. But it looks like there is some of that, but this, given its name called Metro Exodus, seems like you do actually open world just get to go explore this like disheveled nuclear wasteland of Russia. And it takes place over like a course of a year or something like that. And I'm like, that sounds like fun. Why have I not played that? So For some reason, the gold edition is on PlayStation for $8, whereas the standard edition is $30, which makes no sense. But I don't make the prices, whatever. So I'm gonna fall into another goddamn rabbit hole of a game. I'm gonna play and probably Modern Warfare 3 comes out Friday, and I'm gonna fall down that rabbit hole too. So I was like, "There's something I'm missing." I'm like, "Oh right, that little indie game called Call of Duty." I'm gonna fall down the rabbit hole of Modern Warfare 3. So I don't know, 360 no scope me or something, or 1v1 me on Rust. Whatever the kids say.
Yeah, I can't.
I was there.
I can't. I can't give any more of my money to Call of Duty. there's only so many times I can buy the same game over and over again before I'm just like, nope, can't do it anymore. I can't continue to spend $60 or $80 on the same game that I bought 2 years ago.
I'm actually a weenus for the campaign because I'm in the very, very small minority that actually plays it, or even smaller that even cares. I'm like, I kind of like
Call of Duty even the bad Call of Duty games have had killer campaigns.
And I know people have already played and beaten this game months ago when they already got it because they're big YouTubers or streamers, whatever the hell. And people are like, "Oh, this is dumb. This is really half baked." I'm like, "Well, you realize they don't focus on that like they used to." Because you talk about the original Call of Duty series, Modern Warfare, that shit, that campaign was insane. Yeah, of course the thing became online. But I have enjoyed this reboot of Modern Warfare story, and I'm excited to see the third act of this because I didn't want to spoil it, but it kind of got spoiled, even though you kind of already know what happens. They showed Soap's death scene in 3, the original 3, and they're like, "Oh yeah, then here's the one now," and it's like that was kind of half-assed. I'm like, yeah, because they bust in, boom, shoot him. I'm like, that happens. That's more realistic. I don't know what you want. That's all I saw. I was like, shit, no, I don't want to ruin it for myself. Fuck, shit. I'm like, whatever. I knew he was going to die, probably. Rest in peace, my boy Soap. At least Ghost didn't die yet. So that broke my heart in 2009. That fucker walked out of that helicopter and shot Ghost right in the fucking face. Still mad about it. But anyway, that's where I'm at. No, I don't have a whole cosplay in there. I'm working on of 2009's version of Ghost. No, I'm not mad about it still.
While Jeremy goes and puts a pad on whatever the hell of his is bleeding.
Wow, G-string is on fire, damn it!
The G-string's on fire. Let's see. You can find me here tomorrow, probably going over some football talk with Tex. Actually, I think the Rose Gaming might be on here with us as well, talking some NFL football. We took last Wednesday off because me and Tex had an important thing. We had to go see Terrifier 2 in theaters so we could get our Terrifier 3 posters.
Yes.
That's why we weren't here last week. Took the opportunity to go see Terrifier 2, but we'll be here on Thursday. Don't forget, giving you our review of Terrifier 2. So we're not quite done with the scary stuff yet. Not quite done with the scary stuff yet. So we're going to be back here on Thursday talking about giving you our review of Terrifier 2. A much better film than the first one by far. Much more cohesive, way better story, but still basically at its core just some blatant torture porn. But I'll be here. I'll be here with the guys to talk about that on Thursday.
God, I love torture porn. God, I love that shit.
Yeah, I was hoping to have Lady Cora back for this one, but I forgot to get a hold of her and see if she was going to join us or not. But now that we're kind of mostly through all the scary stuff, I'm going to try to get Lady Cora back in here for some of the movies that we're going to be breaking down over the course of the rest of the year, and then of course on into 2024 for whatever we're doing. So thanks to my co-host for being so awesome as usual. Thanks to all of you for coming to hang out with us. Very much appreciated. Until next time. Adios.
We didn't get boobs, but we did get Natalie Portman in her bra. Does that count? I enjoyed it. I'm going to count.
Picture of Hitler. Oh no, that's not. Oh, that's not Sutler. That's the other guy. Yeah, he's the other.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man. He's dog face.
It's not like he's marching us into the apocalypse either, but it's just it is what it is. So, what you gonna do? Just keep